Hello, people. How are you doing today? It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I am live from Chicago, Illinois. Um, and in case you are unfamiliar with me, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Exercise and Sports Science, um, with a concentration in strength and conditioning, modern sports nutrition. I did 2 years of graduate work in applied physiology and nutrition, and then I completed a master's last year in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. Okay, so um, I'm into studying the body. Hello, people. I'm into studying all the ways and all the things that we need to take our body to its highest level, right? From the outside in and from the inside out. It's both important. From what we put on our skin, okay, what we put on our scalp, okay, what we put, all of that to, as woman, what we're putting on our genitals, in our genitals, where what we are, what is in the air we're breathing, right? Um, all of that stuff matters. Okay, so now it's really interesting because I'm a Leo. Okay, we are the zodiac sign that is ruled by the sun. And as a woman, we're always told that we're supposed to be connected to the moon and moon cycles, and it's a full moon, and it's a new moon, and it's a this, it's an orange moon. I honestly never cared about the moon. Okay, I'm not saying the moon is not important, but I literally chase the sun. Okay, I'm like always trying to be in the sun, and I always felt like it felt so good when I got the sun on my skin. I really don't care about the beach like that. Like, there's a beach behind me. I really don't like sand. Well, there's no sand right. There's sand over there. You can't see it, but there's rocks over here. I don't like sand. I do like to look at the water. Okay, it's beautiful. I don't feel the need to be in it. Okay, the water is disease infested, but that's a whole nother conversation. I feel like a land creature, but I love the sun, and I love to be in a walkable city because I love to walk around in the sun. I'm not someone that wants to go lay in it really, or just go lay on the beach and get sand all over me. I like to be active, right? And so I've made videos about the importance of walking. And as a native New Yorker, that's something that's just like embedded in our culture. And I just feel crazy when I go too long without walking, right? So it's really important to walk like daily, okay? Even if you have aging family members, okay, you want to tell them, and that's why it's good to me to age in a city like New York because it's very walkable. Okay, walking is so important. I've done videos about that, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the sun. Okay, and so a lot of people know that we can get vitamin D from the sun. Um, I have done videos talking about vitamin D in depth, and you might want to check those out because I'm not going to get super into that. But just to be brief about that, yes, we can make vitamin D from the sun. However, depending on where you are in the world, you can't do it 365 days of the year. And you cannot do it all day. Okay? So if you're north of Atlanta, you cannot make vitamin D from the sun between the months of like October and March. Okay? So right now, and then the time of day. Like right now, I'm in Chicago. I can make vitamin D from the sun where I'm getting the UVB rays from about 11:30 to 1:30. Okay? So it's about a 2-hour time frame. But in June, it might be from 9:30 to 4:30, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I can make vitamin D from the sun because of the UVB rays, right? And so as the days shorten, then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter until it's nothing, okay? But if you're in, but in South Florida, for example, even on their shortest day of vitamin D production is longer than the longest day in Chicago or New York, okay? So if you're in South Florida, the Caribbean, you can really get it like all day. Now, the more melanin you have, the more sunlight you need on your skin to make vitamin D. Okay, so the UVB rays cannot penetrate your clothes. Each patch of skin can only make a certain amount of vitamin D before it maxes out. Sorry, I'm so greasy. I'm like obsessed with moisturizing. Um, so you don't want to use sunscreen or sunblock, okay? And I talk about this in my other vitamin D videos. And you can watch that because I'm not going to get super into that science. But I'm going to say nobody should be using sunscreen. And that includes the paler people, okay? Melanin protects your skin from the oxidizing properties of, no, melanin protects your skin from UVB rays, right? But we also make vitamin D from the UVB rays. So the more melanin you have, the more sunlight you need. the more you have to be in the sun. So when they give recommendations, when you see general health recommendations, a lot of times they'll tell people, oh, you just need 15 minutes of sun a day to get vitamin D. No, that's for white people. That's for non-melanated people. Um, that's for non-melanated people, okay? Somebody said the only place I've ever gotten a tan in, where, Remy? What are you going to say? Oh, let me see, that makes something? I don't know. South Florida. Oh, yeah. When I'm in South Florida, I get really dark, okay? And I actually love that. I don't get that dark when I'm in New York City, but I get darker in New York City than I do in Chicago. I feel like the sun in New York is stronger than Chicago because it makes me darker. But in Chicago, it's slightly north of New York. It's almost the same latitude, but it's a little bit north. It's like Chicago and New York City, a little bit north, right? And of course, west. But when I go to South Florida, I get black, okay, like significantly darker. And I'm gonna talk about that. And also the Caribbean, like Cartagena. I had videos I was in Cartagena. I was dark as hell, and I love that though. Like I love that. I love greasing up, as you could tell, and being in the sun. Okay, so um, and this is why when people talk about like the indigenous people of the Americas, especially if you come from the American South, you're indigenous to Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina. You're indigenous to the island of Haiti. You're indigenous to Cuba, Puerto Rico. Like all those indigenous people are copper complected brown people. There's no way that you can come from a place with sun that strong and be looking like an Asian person and non-melanated. No. How our melanin is, even our undertones, has to do with where we come from on the planet. If you look at people from India, India has a lot of sun. They're dark. Their undertones are completely different than a West African. Their undertones are completely different than Amerindians, okay? Amerindians have more copper and red. You have East Indians have like this olive green undertone, right? So you have some Africans that will have like a bluish kind of undertone, you know? So there's different undertones depending on how the sun is where you are. But anyhow, so that's the thing with vitamin D. But a lot of countries, because I do travel a lot of countries where that are really hot, people wear a lot of clothes. Okay, people have on long. So even in South Florida, okay, a lot of people in Miami be walking around with long sleeves and pants. So you have to get the sun on your skin, and as much skin as possible. So how much time you need to be in the sun depends on number one, how much melanin you have. The darker you are, the more sunlight you need, and then it depends on how much skin you have exposed, okay? So if somebody has their back out, their stomach out, their arms and their legs out, they can make the vitamin D much faster than somebody who might just has a t-shirt and they've got their forearms and maybe their shins. It's going to take you a lot longer, okay? If even at all. And then someone said I got Zartan black in one afternoon in South Florida. Never happened in South Louisiana. No, the sun is stronger in South Florida than it is in Louisiana. As hot as Louisiana is, as hot as New Orleans is, that sun in Florida. I remember my dad's from Florida, but he's from northern Florida, from St. Augustine, the oldest town in America, and it's hot there too. The first time I ever went there, I was 12, and it was summertime. And anybody who's been in New York in the summer knows New York summers are super hot. And I remember taking the train from New York to Florida. And when I got off of the train, it was summertime. I remember getting off the train in Florida and being like, oh my God, like I couldn't speak because the sun was so strong. And my dad was like, yeah, the Florida sun will burn a hole in your ass. Like that sun felt like it was going through my bones into my DNA. I never felt sun that strong. So Louisiana, to me, New Orleans is extremely hot, but I feel like the humidity is thicker. Like South Florida also is humid, but there's more of a breeze. Like Louisiana, the humidity sits on you, but the sun in South Florida is definitely stronger. Okay, okay. Um, so I said what I said about the UVB rays, the melanin, the vitamin D. Um, if you have less melanin, you need less sun. Um, trying to be in the sun longer than you need to be. Like I don't burn. Okay, I've gotten sunburn maybe once or twice in my life, and that's when I was outside in a pool. I was in a pool in the sun. It happened to me in Atlanta when I was like 12. I was outside in the pool. I don't know if water has something to do with that, but other than that, I don't burn. I don't care where I'm at, right? I also put stuff on my skin to nourish and protect my skin, really protect my skin from the oxidizing properties of the sun without blocking out the rays. You do not want to block out the UVB and UVA rays. You don't want to block out any of it, okay? You also want to get the sun in your eyes, okay? So you guys know I wear glasses, and when I get glasses, I ask them to make it without. I don't want UVB, UVA protection in my glasses. I don't wear sunglasses because we also need to get it in our eyes, okay? So you guys know retina, okay? They say that carrots are good for your eyes. No, that's beta carotene, right? True vitamin A, and I have videos about vitamin A. True vitamin A is called retinol. Okay, what does that sound like? Retina, right? And we have many photoreceptors in our eyes. Okay, and when the sun gets into our eyes, it affects our hormones. Okay, it helps to increase serotonin. All right, and a lot of people who have depression issues have issues with serotonin. So, and women have less serotonin than men. Okay, so getting the sun in your eyes helps to increase that serotonin. And the UVA rays, okay, the UVA rays can penetrate glass, whereas the UVB rays cannot penetrate glass. Okay, so in order to get UVB, you have got to go outside. Okay, we spend way too much time inside. You know, people in industrialized societies spend like 93% of their time indoors. Okay, like in their cars, in their house, in their office. I can't stand. That's one of the things that annoys me about America, minus New York City and some other walkable cities, because there are other walkable cities. I heard that New York, Boston, and San Francisco were like considered some of the most walkable. Chicago is pretty walkable depending on where you are. New Orleans can be. New Orleans, it depends on where you are. New Orleans, I don't know. Like I'm not even gonna. Let me take that out the list. But there are walkable cities. There's it's walking as much as you can. Like, but most of America, people are always in the car, and I can't stand it. I feel like my body's wasting away. Okay, I have got to walk around. Okay. So we also have the UVA. I'm trying to go off the dome of my memory. Okay, because there's UVA and there's infrared. And now that I'm talking to you, I'm like getting my things mixed up. But I'm gonna say that the UVA is in the light all day long, unlike the UVB, which is only certain times of the year, depending on where you are, certain times of the day. UVA is in the light is in the sun is there all day, and the UVA does not. Okay, UVB increases melanin production, so it actually increases the melanin in your skin. UVA oxidizes the melanin, and UVA actually makes you darker. It gives you like a deeper tan. It penetrates deeper as well. The UVA penetrates deeper than the UVB. The UVB is a higher energy. It's a higher energy wave. It only gets into the epidermis. I mean, to the dermis, which is like the top layer of the skin. The UVA penetrates deeper into the epidermis. Okay, and it's not blocked by glass, and it's all day. Okay, the UVA also helps to release nitric oxide. Okay, nitric oxide dilates your blood vessels. That then lowers your blood pressure. Okay, all right. So then you have infrared light. Okay, and infrared light is super important. We cannot see it. It's not visible light. Okay, infrared light is highest. Well, it's out all day, but it's highest in percentage in the morning and the evening. Okay, and getting the morning sun in your eyes is really important because it helps to um, set your circadian rhythms with melatonin and cortisol. Melatonin is something our body produces to help us, be sleepy when it gets darker. Um, so if you're not getting sunlight in your eyes in the morning, natural light, it can mess with your melatonin production and completely throw your circadian rhythms off. Okay, and this is important for a lot of reasons. So getting like morning sun and in evening sun when the sun is setting can also be, um, and when the sun is setting, you have the infrared. Now, infrared reflects off of green, right? So if you're someplace, and this is another thing, I love to be in parks. That's one thing I love about New York City, and in Chicago. Chicago has a lot of parks too, but not the hugest fan of Chicago parks, but walking down the street in Chicago, especially my neighborhood, certain neighborhoods, not every neighborhood is like this, but my neighborhood for sure. There's a lot of trees, tree-lined streets, a lot of herbs growing, flowers. There's a lot of green plants, um, butterflies, butterflies and bumblebees. A bee. I did a video a couple weeks ago and I got stung by a bee in my thigh, right? And then today, walking over here, like there were so many bees that kept bothering me. Like I see more bees in Chicago than literally anywhere. Okay, they say the bees are disappearing, not in Chicago. I walk down the street, there's butterflies flying past my face, bees that I'm shooing away. They're following me around. I'm stopping to do something and I have to move because the bees are all up on me, right? But there's a lot of herbs and flowers and trees growing. And so all that green reflects infrared, right? So to get infrared light, and infrared is a lower energy wavelength, okay, that we cannot see. And it's so funny because when people, okay, so I have all these different things I want to say. Let me get my thoughts straight. Infrared is lower energy. It penetrates deeper. See, look, there's a bee right there. And a spider web. Oh my God, please don't bother me. Okay, hold up. And I literally got stung on my thigh last time, okay? I'm telling you, I've been harassed by so many bees here, even while I was walking. Why is there even bees over here by the beach? Okay, so, what is it saying? Infrared penetrates deeper, okay? And what infrared light does, it actually affects your mitochondria. And your mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cells. It's what creates ATP. ATP gives energy to so many metabolic processes in the body. And so having having a healthy mitochondria is critical for, even with cancer. A lot of people will say cancer is a sugar disease, and sugar definitely feeds cancer cells, but it also has a lot to do with a dysfunctional mitochondria. Okay, so the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Are the bees attracted to my lotions? Well, I don't use lotion, but you mean what I put on my skin? And what I have on my skin right now is my triple butter. It has cocoa butter, shea butter, ghee, palm oil, lanolin, and castor oil. So that's what I have on right now. So are they attracted to that? Possibly. Don't know. I don't know. You don't know, say. Okay? I don't know. So nature. I said before, nature lights nature. I don't know if it bothers people that got chemical poison on. I don't freaking know. And I don't use bug repellent because I don't think about that. Because bugs don't bother me. Just be these damn bees. And it's almost October. But anywho, the infrared light penetrates deeper into our cells, affects our mitochondria, helps to energize, refresh our mitochondria, and keep our mitochondria healthy. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It is essential for so many things that has to do with longevity, okay? So infrared light is super important, okay? And it can also penetrate through your clothes. So with infrared light can penetrate through layers. I think like 12 layers of clothes. So that means that you can get infrared light even in the winter. And living in a green place, which is what I love. I have to be in a green place. I'm not a desert person. I can't stand the desert. I'm not a big fan of Southern California, Arizona, Nevada. You can keep all that shit. I like lush green, okay? Upstate New York. Um, there's beautiful parts of Michigan. There's parts of Maine, Vermont, North Carolina. There's so many states in America that's just like really green and lush, and I love that. Okay, so that green, when you're around trees and greenery, just know that it reflects the infrared light and gives you even more of that. And infrared light is also medicine. All right, and so I'm gonna see. Is there anything else? Also, just when the sun is on our skin, it just affects our endocrine system. I made a video last year talking about the effects of the sun, how the sun affects testosterone production in men and women and our sex drives. So you can check that video out. I'm not going to tap all into that, but this video has some things I didn't mention in that video. But remember, it's the UVB, the UVA, and infrared light, okay? And you want to be in the sun as much as possible. I mean, I know I'm not crazy because I always love the feeling of the sun on my skin. And when I'm someplace where it's really intensely sunny and humid, I always get like, my sexual energy increases, right? I'm like, why does the sun make me aroused? Why does the sun? And in learning, it's like, okay, the sun and the heat and humidity, because I'm a humidity girl. Okay, I got Florida roots. I like humidity. Humidity can be too much. Everything can be too much. The heat can be too much. The sun can be too much. The cold can be too much. Everything can be too much. But I like humidity. Okay, a healthy dose of it keeps things moist. You know, like you need moist for life. Okay, like when I that lesson stayed in my mind when I spent a lot of time in Costa Rica, on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. Costa Rica is lush. The whole country is lush, but the Caribbean coast in the jungle, being in the rainforest, it's the lushest place I've ever been. Okay, and I've been a lot of lush places, but Costa Rica, actually the area that Malcolm Jamal Warner died in, may he rest in peace. That area, Puerto Viejo, is the area I spent a lot of time in, and that's on the Caribbean coast. And when it rains like the world is coming to an end. Like I have never seen rain like that, but it's the lushest place because you need all of that water and wetness and moistness for that lushness. It's the same thing with like all the house plants in this country are grown in Florida. Florida. What is Florida? Flower, right? And it's so funny because I love flowers. My dad always kept flowers in my apartment in our house growing up, and I keep flowers. I love flowers, and I'm from the flower state, Florida, right? But like all of the plants and stuff, they grow them in Florida. Florida has so much sun, but then that humidity, you need that wet, that those bursts of water and rain that comes. Seattle is a beautiful city to me. One of my favorite cities in America is Seattle, and I haven't spent a lot of time there, and I know they don't get tons of sun, but that is a beautiful lush city, and what they get a lot of rain. You need, it's not just the sun, you need that wetness too. So to me, I'm not a fan. The desert where it's dry, there's no life. Okay, I told you I like green. You don't see green in the desert, you see dust. I don't like dust. Okay, dust and sand doesn't go with this moisturized skin. Then I have like sand and dust on me. No. Okay, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like dry, I don't like dusty. Okay, put me in the swamp, put me in the rainforest, okay? Put me in the jungle before you put me in a goddamn desert, all right? So that's just me. Some people like that shit. I'm not one of them. Either way, you need to moisturize your skin, okay? If you're in the desert, that shit could dry your skin out. So you need to put things in your skin to help retain moisture. And if you're in a more humid place, I still put stuff on my skin. You know, I feel like I brown better even. You know, there's a whole healthy glow. Like you want to take care of your skin. It's a part of your microbiome. That's another. Your skin is a part of your immune system. It's a huge part of your immune system. It's the largest organ in the body. Skin, you can kind of say in some ways, is the endocrine organ, and you want to protect your microbiome on your skin, right? So you want to be careful what you put on it. But also, when the sun touches your skin, it also helps to produce a lot of antiviral, antimicrobial things. So this is why, like, if someone is sick, you have an infection, go in the sun. You're depressed, go walk in the sun. Old hospitals, um, old school hospitals back in the day used to put sick people out in the sun. They take the hospital beds, put them outside in the sun. Okay, they would have big windows in the hospitals where the sunlight was coming down. And for me, I grew up in a very sunny apartment in Harlem. Okay, it felt like on Sugar Hill. It felt like we were on top of the world, and so much sun came in every single room. Every single room where I grew up in Harlem, there was a huge blast of sun. Okay, nothing, no trees, nothing blocking our sun. And I love that. And so I need sunny apartments. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Chicago to live in as well, because the architecture in Chicago is beautiful, but the way that Chicago architects put a lot of thought into bringing sun into an apartment. I can't stand a dark apartment. I can't stand apartments that don't. I need a window in every single room. I need a window in my bathroom. Don't give me a bathroom with no window. I need a window in every room, right? I like a lot of sun. Let me see. Being in Florida. Wait, you're in Florida? King Tree, I thought you were in Cali. Did you move to Florida? Being in Florida now, the humidity and moisturizing really be helping me, even if I sweat it off in like 10 minutes. That's what's up. I didn't know you moved to Florida. We have to catch up. Congrats on that and everything. Because I know you're from Oakland, I think. And Oakland can have, I know California has like a lot of microclimates, and I know that Northern California is different than Southern California. Like Southern Cali really be the desert. I'm not sure about Oakland, what kind of climate that's considered. Cause I know San Francisco rains a lot, but I know Oakland is like, there's a lot of sun there. It's different. It's like Northern California, it's like a different climate every 10 minutes. So I'm not sure what kind of climate Oakland is per se. Oh, you moved last December, new job? Yay! I'm gonna reach out. We gotta catch up. Congrats. Where? Let me know where in Florida you are and how you're liking it. I think there's smarter people in Oakland, in the Bay Area. But anywho, no offense. Let me stop saying that. I don't want to offend people. Okay, so what else? Yeah, so just the sun. You want to get outside and get the sun, get it in your eyes, get it on your skin, open the windows, let the sunlight in as much as possible. And that's the thing about cannabis. I want to do a video about sun-grown cannabis as well, because most of the cannabis that people buy is grown indoor under artificial lights. And a lot of people in the cannabis industry who work in dispensaries and stuff, they think that ingrown is better. And I know scientifically that sun-grown cannabis has more, um, it creates more compounds than indoor cannabis, because you are being exposed to not just a wider wavelength. There's so much in light. There's so much in light. What is this thing called? Hold on a minute. There is a measurement. I forget the name of it, and I can't look up on my phone because I'm talking to you guys. But there's some kind of measurement that has to do with the brightness of light. It's like a light. It's a measurement that measures the brightness of light. And I know that your indoor light in your house, like the brightest light you can have inside your house, let's say it measures at 100 or 200, and I'll write it below when I get off here. Let's say that the brightest light inside your house measures at 100 to 200 on this scale. If you go outside and get the sunlight, you can get like 100,000. Okay, that's how much the brightness scale goes up, and it's not something that you can tell with your eyes, because when we're inside using indoor light that has less spectrums of light, our pupils are dilated. Okay, our pupils dilate a lot in order to make up for that. So we can't tell that this light is nowhere near as bright as the outdoor light. Okay, and whatever this thing is called, this measurement, I heard them explaining it with photography, explaining how when you can understand this, because cameras are the same way. And so when you set your camera a certain way for like indoor light, and then you try to do it, and you take that and shoot outdoor, it's overexposed because there's so much light. So our eyes compensate for that. So there's no substitute for the sun. Okay. And back in the day, people used to use, thank you for the compliment, people were using incandescent light bulbs. Incandescent light bulbs are better than fluorescent. Fluorescent light bulbs are poison. Better than LED lights. Okay. People were using incandescent light bulbs and candles. Okay. So I think I'm going to try to get some incandescent light bulbs in my house if I can. It's hard, we're removed from nature, and we have to live life, we have to pay bills and take care of our families and all that good stuff. And so you do the best you can to live within nature, and it can be tough, especially in a city and stuff like that. But there's certain things, but I think walking is easier in the city than in the country. Um, but just knowing these things, you want to try to implement, being active, being outside, getting sun, getting fresh air. The air in your house, the air in people's houses is usually a lot more toxic than the air outside, um, because sometimes people have all kinds of like air fresheners. They got mold, they got cleaning chemicals they're cleaning with in the air. Some people be spraying perfumes. There's all kinds of stuff that's in indoor air, which is why I like to have plants in my place too, because plants help clean your air. Okay. So you want to be thinking about all that. And of course, when the wind blows across a body of water, that really is good quality, negatively charged air. Um, um, what is it? Air conditioners ruin the quality of the air. Okay, a lot of people in air conditioner all day, especially like in Florida and stuff. They never get fresh air, never open the windows. I don't even own an air conditioner. I don't know if I've had an air conditioner my whole adult life. Now, except maybe when I lived in Atlanta. I can't remember. I lived in Atlanta for 6 months. I don't remember if I had an air conditioner, but I do think you probably need one in Atlanta. Because in New Orleans, I think you would die if you didn't have one. But I've lived in Pittsburgh, New York City, Jersey City, Chicago, that didn't have an air conditioner. Now there's a few days out there. Now sometimes it depends on where the place that you live in, how it's built. I tend to live in places that's built for coolness, and there might be a couple of days out the summer in Chicago or New York where I felt like, oh my God, it's really hot. Especially in New York, there's a few days where I'm like, okay, maybe I did need an air conditioner, but I deal with it. I don't go to the gym and sit in the sauna. I just deal with the heat when it's hot as hell. Okay, but there's a limit to that because, like I said, can't do that. I feel like in New Orleans, I feel like you do need an air conditioner. And again, it depends on how things are built. But I'm not a huge air conditioning person. I have to be on my deathbed hot. You know what I'm saying? I like fresh air. I don't like being closed or in a car because in a car the cars can get hot. So use it. But as much as possible, I like fresh air. I like fresh air as much as possible. Um, okay. So I think I made in this video I talked about the importance of UVB light. That's what makes vitamin D, and that's what makes melanin. And can't get that year round unless you live south of Atlanta. And even then, it's certain times during the day when the sun is right overhead, most intense time of the day. So you cannot get vitamin D from the sun at 8 in the morning or at 6 p.m. or anything like that. And you can actually go to ChatGPT and ask, like, no matter where you are, like, let's say you live in DC or you live in um, LA or you live in London, I don't know, wherever you live, you could put that in and be like, when can I get what time of day can I get vitamin D from the sun in this city during this month? ChatGPT will tell you week for week, every single month you want to know what time the UVB. So you can find it out and try to be outside during those times. Okay. Um. So yeah, the sun, and that's the thing about like COVID, which is so silly when they wanted people to stay inside, and it's like they were wondering why in Florida they didn't close the beaches. And they were like, the rest of the country was like, oh, people in Florida, they're so dumb, they're so stupid. Actually, that's why I shouldn't say what I said about Florida. Actually, I take it back because they were saying the people in Florida were so dumb and stupid, and they were going to have this horrible COVID thing because they were letting people be at the beach. But the sun, getting the sunlight on your skin actually helps to fight viruses and infections. That's one of the things. If you have any kind of infection, any kind, you got a skin infection, I don't care what kind of infection, you want sunlight, okay? The sun actually helps with all those things, despite the fact that it helps with vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is like one of the most critical things when it comes to your immune system and fighting stuff. And you can get it from the sun, you can get it from food. I would not take supplements. I've talked about that in several videos. I would not go to the store and buy vitamin D supplement. I would eat vitamin D rich foods, take cod liver oil. You can only get vitamin D from animals. You need vitamin D and vitamin A, but you can get it from the sun. And when you get it from the sun, you're also getting other properties, okay, that you cannot get from food. And sun science gets very deep. But I would say high blood pressure, you're sad, feel like you're depressed, can't think straight, fighting any kind of infections, diabetic, pre-diabetic, all those things, you want to get sun. You just want to be your healthiest self, get some sun. Okay? So I think I'm done talking. I'll just show you a little bit of beautiful Chicago, where I'm at right now. So this is a little private beach by me. Now this beach goes from the northern part of the city all the way to the southern part of the city. And this is like a little tiny little private beach. Like it's not really, there's more rocks, there's a little bit of sand, but as you go further down, the beach goes all the way down. This is the northernmost part of Chicago, but the beach goes all the way down to the southern part of the city. And it's just, it looks different in different places. So to me, it's really, relaxing to come over here and just be by the water. And then, I talked about UVB, UVA, and infrared light. Okay, so walking in the park, walking down the street where it's green, having green plants in your house, all of that helps you get more infrared. It reflects off of that. The infrared penetrates deeper into our bodies. It penetrates into our cells, into our mitochondria. It re-energizes the mitochondria, helps the mitochondria produce ATP, which we need for so much cellular function. Okay, so to me, the sun is an important recipe for health. Okay, for optimal health, for healing. Don't forget about the sun. Okay. I don't care what the dermatologists tell you. Don't use sunscreen, none of that. Okay, so I think I've said what I need to say. Um, make sure if you're on Instagram, you follow me on YouTube at the Body Scientist 81. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you follow me on Instagram, okay? At the underscore body underscore scientist. Follow me in both places because I don't always post the same thing in both places. If you learn something from this video, please like it and share it. And on YouTube, I will post some of my other sun videos below. If you're on Instagram, you can check out some of the books that I post. People need to read more, okay? That's another thing. People really need to read more. The truth be in the books, okay? So anyhow, I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you learned something, and I will talk to you later, okay? Bye-bye.